funkiest funk. Thoughts deep, boys steeped in the depths that he sunk. Big stress, depressed in the middle of fall. Sky gray, I late in the thick of it all. I wonder, how long can a human survive just staying alive or carrying the rest of the tribe? Waiting for the day to arrive or struggling dies, and I be doing way, way more than getting by. So why? Cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Realize life is so much more than just living the day. Every day I can sit and reflect and reconnect to myself and all that I've been given. See, giving up is not an option. So when I'm looking at gray skies, I'll be adopting a new way to deal with a test. Lord, relieve me of stress. The ring be looking like we're blessings dropping. And so I got myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, here we go. Yeah, let's do this. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord.
The nation is under siege. The nation is under siege.
Good evening, everybody. This is Divided We Stand. It's Sunday evening, 8:14 p.m. We're broadcasting from Bridgeton, New Jersey, via Arlington, Virginia, and from Kingston, Ontario. We're a little bit late. Dave screwed up, of course, but we're going to be okay. And it's going to be a nice show because we're going to talk a little bit about the Canadian elections and Trump, and we hope that everybody will join us. Please remember that we have a YouTube channel, which you're probably watching from right now. We ask that you subscribe. We are not a monetized channel. We're not looking for anything from you, just your commiseration. And also, if you're on Facebook, the group page, please become a member of Divided We Stand. We would appreciate it. All right, so let's go to our guests tonight. Wherever they are, hold on. Here we go. We got Mr. Wheeler, and we've got who's this guy? Oh, that guy from Virginia.
Listen, I think one of the things you should try to do, if you're doing a project like this, is to kind of personalize the show. So I'm going to start with a personalization tonight that I think will help people more understand what's going on here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would take the person you know in your life who has the least ability to do anything, whether it's kinesthetic, whether it's logical, whether it's intellectual, spiritual, whatever.
He needs a Canadian sit-up.
Take that person, right, and then add 3 numbers before you get to infinity, and you would have the incompetency that is Brian Weinstein. Now, let me explain what I mean by that very simply.
And that's our show for tonight.
And 65-year-old man can't send an email. Then, listen to this. he thinks you can have a number after the at. So anything that is ever wrong in your life, it would be worse if Brian were running it.
All right. Okay. He's
So is
bitching.
that
And
like
by the
when
way,
Brian come to Canada- is that like when Brian come to Canada and we kicked his ass?
That's hell. When he goes in his bedroom at night, Ronnie, his wife, kicks his ass. So
Okay.
it's nothing new.
all right. First of all, Dave, just so Kevin knows,
Yes.
name the countries that you're going to next week, because you are going to report from those countries.
I am going to report. Yeah, it's kind of exciting actually. It's with the Smithsonian. It's a Smithsonian writing trip, so it's the first one I've ever done, and we're going to Poland,
Okay.
where we will spend time in in Warsaw
Okay.
and in Krakow, and visit Auschwitz. Then let's see, we have Vienna, Prague, and Budapest. So interesting. It's funny how things work in life. When we arranged for the trip, I had no idea, who would be president, and now we have it. And of course, we have the idea of Poland being held up as one of the places that's kind of gotten rid of treason and tyranny and that kind of thing. And Hungary, who is probably with their leader is what? Trump's second favorite dictator. Vance is quoting him. So it'll be very interesting from a lot of standpoints. Way A, to compare. And I don't mean this lightly. I really don't. I've always thought that I should go to a concentration camp just to pay my respects for what a whole, people went through. But I never, ever, ever, Brian and Kevin, never in my life did I think I'd be there looking at something that could be here within a year.
Right. It's
Never,
definitely-
never. So it'll be interesting, and because of everybody can figure that out, but because of the time change and the fact that things can be iffy in terms of, so instead of being on live for 3 weeks, I'll be sending reports. I don't know how many I'll send, but enough to be on the show, or whatever. We'll figure it out.
All right. And Kev, for you, first of all, it's good to see you again. We haven't seen you for a while. Lots of things happening in Canada. Perhaps you can explain to our guests what's going on in the election tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow we got our Canadian election, which was actually fast forwarded. As you guys know, we did talk about Trudeau. Basically, he resigned, and Carney took over as basically the preempt prime minister until the election was called, which they had to call an election. Everybody knew this in Canada. We knew it was coming. We knew that Trudeau didn't want to be here anymore. He was getting dumped on all the time because he was a liberal. So tomorrow is the final day. So tomorrow by midnight, we will know who will be the new prime minister of Canada. So
Are you going to
right
speculate
now,
as to who is going to win?
right now, the Liberals, Carney is in the lead. It's not by much. The Conservatives, before they even talked about the election, Polyev was ahead by 25 points. Sorry about the phone, guys. I don't have to answer it. He was ahead by 25 points. I think it was going back about 4 months ago during the Trudeau downfall, because there was a big downfall. I didn't get to mention that the last time that you and I were on, Brian. There was a big downfall with the Liberals. The Conservatives went like from here to here. So right now, with the stats that are going on right now, it's about 4.5 basis points, which is not that many seats.
And you have to
Right
have
now, as of
a
tomorrow.
coalition, because you have to have a majority, correct?
You have to have majority government in Canada. The only thing is, like in the United States, and I know that Dave knows this, you guys have basically Republicans, Democrats.
Right.
That's it. In Canada, we have Liberals, Conservatives, NDP, Green Party, and we also have what's called the People's Party. So there's 5 of them. So we'll say tomorrow after the election, if the Liberals do win, we'll say they have to win a majority. It's the same as with the Republicans in the States. If they get a majority, they can vote out anything anybody wants. But here in Canada, it's different. If the Conservatives don't get a majority, the other 4 groups can add together and tear down anything the Liberals want to do.
Right.
So,
Kevin, a question.
yeah.
You said the other four could join. Does that mean they're closer, like the Conservatives are one's, on this side, and then the other four are closer to each other, or how does it break down, I guess? Like here, obviously you said it very well. Okay. We have two parties, and once in a while an independent candidate will run. Okay. But let's say you ran for, you said Greenpeace, right? So let's say you ran for that. Could you then and you won or whatever, could you side with either or any other party, or does it? So
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
you're a free agent then at that point.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
Right. But it would make sense, of course, if you wanted to get anything done, to get in not to side with somebody who's not going to be in power. So obviously, you would.
And what happened to Christina Freeland? I mean,
She's with the Liberals. I mean, Carney did give her a position, not like what she had with the Trudeau government. She's still in with the Liberals right now, so she is going with the Liberals. I mean, like, I know a lot of people don't say, like with Kamala Harris when she was running against Trump. I've never seen it in Canadian terms in my lifetime of 65 years. I would love to have seen a female prime minister. I would. Not because she votes for the male population, but she likes both. And going back to Dave. So anyways, Dave, so what would happen is, well, say if the Liberals didn't get a majority vote, we'll say, like, I think the majority seats, I think is like 145. I think it's around 145 or 148, 150.
Okay.
So if they got 140, we'll say they got 140, and when the Conservatives got like 130. So if the NDPs have like 9 votes, Greenpeace, the Green Party gets 4, the People's Republic get 2. They can add their votes together to shut down the Liberal Party.
Okay.
But they don't. And then you got the Bloc Québécois, too, in Quebec, which right now they're sitting at around 5.9 right now. They're not a big thing. They only vote for Quebec. They don't want to.
are they the ones who are the separatists?
Yes, exactly,
Okay, yeah.
Brian. Yeah. But they still have a vote in the parliament.
Now-
So
And so again, when it's all said and done, let's get back to the Quebec vote. Let's say they had, I'm making these numbers up, okay? But let's say they had 10 representatives, right? Whatever.
yeah,
Could-
if they get
they
10
could-
seats in the parliament, yeah.
Let's just say they get 10 seats, and they can vote any way they want at that point. I'm assuming they normally would vote as a bloc because they're representing the French-speaking goals and that kind of thing. But they could go with either, or they could split among themselves, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
when you mention the Conservative and the Liberal Party, when we say a Canadian Conservative Party, I'm going to speculate that that's not conservative, in terms of American conservatives. Or am I wrong?
It's not. No. No. No.
And I would take it that, of course, if you've been following politics at all, not you, Kevin, but anyone who's been following politics, the Republicans are not the Republicans anymore. They are now the MAGA Republicans. In fact, you can't even really compare. They talk about, in America, they talk about, Lincoln, yes, Lincoln was a Republican, but in those days, the Republicans were the liberals,
Right.
and the Democrats, which were Southerners, were the conservatives. Then when FDR comes in with his New Deal, all of a sudden, a lot of Southerners start saying, I don't like this, because he starts pushing, not as hard as others, but started pushing some ideas in terms of blacks being equal and things that, the Southerners didn't like. And then Nixon comes along and does a Southern strategy, which is he grabbed the Southerners. And before that, Barry Goldwater grabbed a group, John Birchers, who were extremists. And so we end up over the years with people comparing this. So you can't even hear it, Kevin, in American politics. You cannot compare the following names. They're completely different. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump. They all say are, but the party was so different. It had similarities, and right now, my question would be: is one of your parties more in tune with Trump or more opposed to
Well,
Trump?
this is what I think Veg
Trump-
is saying here. He's a slight disagreement.
Even what Veg just said, Conservative Party are far right, and he.
Now the question is, how far right are they? I mean,
oh, they're far right.
but they can't be
Oh,
MAGA.
they are.
I mean, that's I think what you were alluding to.
Well, I think again.
They're close.
the-
See that the
the qu-
biggest thing. I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't.
oh
want
no,
to
go
interrupt you.
Kevin. No, go.
Right now, basically in Canada, right now, to what people that I've talked to in the last month, they come to me, or I've talked to them on Facebook and stuff. Said, "Well, who are you voting for, Kevin?" I am voting for the party that protects this country, and nothing against the United States. We should have done this 50 years ago. We should have separated from the United States, depending on anything coming into this country. Now, Polyev says, well, who's the best one? We know it's either going to be Carney tomorrow or it's going to be Polyev. One of the two is going to be the prime minister. Who is the one that's going to go against Trump and not bend over backwards to sell our country out?
And who do you
That's
think
all
that?
we care about.
Yeah. So there's nobody running. I mean, I would assume there's nobody running saying, "Hey, we're going to become a state of the United States," or "We're going to let Donald Trump say what we are or not." I mean, so they're all even though the right the right would probably be closer to some ideas, but there isn't a Donald Trump surrogate party. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, the mere fact. Well, first of all, Kevin, it's great to have you here. And Brian, even though I pick on you, you've done a good job of getting some people from Canada.
Yeah, we've got
somehow-
Veg. We got a lot of people who've been on from
Yeah.
Canada.
So, but what's interesting is never has that relationship been more important or more strained. We have there's no other way to put it. We have a thing in the White House. I will not concede because he has no human characteristics whatsoever. And this thing, there's a biblical verse somewhere says something like, "May the firstlings of my heart be the firstlings of my mouth," or something. Well, he doesn't have a heart, so it's the firstlings of his ass becomes the firstlings of his mouth. There's no rhyme or reason to what he does. I could even understand it if he were an obstructionist or if he were just a contrarian, like, okay, take something very simple this week. Okay. Now, he goes to the funeral of the Pope, whom he had a running battle with. As the Pope spoke what he believed, and that was not what Donald Trump wanted for himself. I say the running battle, but somehow I don't even know why he ended up going, but he did. Melania's a Catholic, I believe. That might have had
And
something
he
to
got
do with
embarrassed, Dave. He
Well,
got
that's.
embarrassed.
But he gets embarrassed. Look, when he gets up in the morning, if he had any sense, he'd be embarrassed. And when he goes to bed at night, he would be embarrassed. Now, some of that is, a little sketchy there, but he sets himself up. So one of the big scandals this weekend is he wore a blue suit and a blue tie to the funeral of the Pope. Now, there is no proper dress code under the Catholic Church for the funeral of the Pope, but most everyone knows that black is the color of funerals, right?
Right.
So they said
Exactly.
about 98% of the men there had on
And
black.
Yeah.
Now, did Trump do that to stand out? Number one, did he wear that suit? Number two, did he do it just because he doesn't understand that? That would be a possibility. And the third one I thought was interesting, and this verges on conspiracy theory, but I thought it was interesting. Apparently, he has lost some weight, and they think he might be using Ozempic, the new, wonder drug for weight loss. And they said maybe he just didn't have a black suit. I started thinking, wait a minute, the president of the United States doesn't have a black suit that fits. His other suits don't fit.
Right.
They're terrible. So the point is, I'm not so concerned about whether he wore a suit or not. I think it's, I don't think it's the biggest shame in the world. I think it's wrong. I mean, it was just Donald Trump. But what I didn't like, and what Americans should not like, is when he was interviewed, he said, yes, the Pope was a good man. And by the way, I won the Catholic vote. He made the funeral services
About
for
himself.
the Holy Father.
All about him.
About himself. And
All
that's
about
all
him.
that's all he's capable of doing. He can't do anything else. And so then you have the decision, if you're an American, do you battle him? Of course you do. But who is a bigger enemy? And I think there are a number of them. I think Elon Musk is more of a danger than Donald Trump right now. Because the reason I say that is Elon Musk is smarter than Donald Trump. Of course, so is a 5-year-old child smarter than Donald Trump. But Donald Trump has to be Donald Trump. The old stories: a lion has to lion, a tiger has to tiger. Well, a Trump has to Trump. But who
Lisa's
I really,
waving.
really,
Lisa, my wife, is waving.
Hi,
hi to
Lisa.
everybody. Take the dog out.
Hi, Lisa. How are you? The other thing would be, I've actually been thinking recently. I think I actually fault the Republican Party more now. They should, if indeed, as Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, kind of bravely said, we're scared. We're scared for our lives. We're scared for our political future. Well, if you are, kids, then you really aren't serving the country, and step down. But that's not going to happen. The last thing I would say is, if you need some encouragement, look at the numbers. They are starting to plummet. His popularity
And for
is
the first
starting-
time, I'm having a little bit of optimism here.
Well, because you have to. I mean,
But I think it's, as we can get into it, I think it has a lot to do with China and the tariffs. I think that really.
I think it has to do with a whole bunch of things. I mean, you got to be a pretty evil dude to sit there and say it's okay to take a 4-year-old out of the country who's suffering from a rare form of cancer, which is being treated here, and send him off to a country that will not treat him and does not have the medicine to do so. You have to be a pretty hard person to do that. Trump's people are with him right now. I talked to a few of them this week, but I think he just keeps going. He's incapable of doing anything right, even for his own people.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Dave. I was talking to Brian earlier. There's a gentleman out in Alberta that is getting a petition together in Canada, which he's got almost 250,000 votes, like people that have actually went on. And I'm going to get on his webpage when he's on there. I will put my vote in that we do not want Donald Trump to come to Canada, period. We don't want him here.
See, I think what's so good about that,
Us Canadians, Dave, are so angry with this man right now.
as you should be, Kevin, as you should be. Everybody in America should be more angry than you, but we have a third of our country that's, oh, well, he's doing a good job. No, I think that's great. Now, here's another thing that happens. So on May 1st, Donald Trump is going to speak at the University of Alabama. As of now, how it comes. Brian, I don't know if do you know why he's doing that?
I can only speculate.
Go ahead, speculate.
Well,
I
he's
happen
been
to
having
know.
problems with universities, and there are going to be some that are going to go along with this crap and some that don't. And obviously, the Ivies are generally fighting this. I would think that he's trying to make a statement. I don't know.
So what?
And-
So what he did to Harvard, trying to cut back on their money.
Yes, and what he's doing in Alabama is, I think, this is now the first part. I don't know. I'm speculating. Okay, so there are two senators from Alabama. Each state, has two senators, and Tommy Tuberville, who is to the Senate what Trump is to the presidency. Most people agree Tommy Tuberville is the stupidest person in the Senate today, and I think most people would agree with that. And then you have Katie Britt, and Katie at one point, because my son teaches one of the universities he teaches at is the University of Alabama, and he said she went there. And she went to law school there, and they said her professors are really just out of the. She said she was really, really smart, really, really a good person, right? And had this 360 turn when she joined Republicans, and then Republicans went MAGA.
A lot of 360 turns out there,
Yeah, and so
or
anyway,
180s or whatever.
so what we have happening is, Trump invited himself. The University of Alabama did not invite him. That's number one.
So are they
He's-
just going to accept it, or
Well, that's up in the air right now too. So number one, he did that. Number two, the city or school hosting a presidential event is responsible for all the extra security not
Okay.
provided. So that's going to be a fortune, right?
right?
With that security. Thirdly, he's not speaking at graduation. Graduation is May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
He's probably afraid of being
May-
booed.
No, he's speaking May 1st. Also, there's a cost involved, and the only people that are going to go are the people he invites, right? And any graduate of this year's class. Well, where's that money going to go? Who's going to get that money? You know, in some shape or form, it's going to end up back with Trump. There are, I don't know the number. At one point, I think it was 20 some cities that he has not paid for campaign expenses or for presidential expenses. So you've got to admit now, what my son said is basically they are organizing protests. Some will boo the whole time while he speaks. Some will walk out. But in general, Alabama as a whole is definitely Trump country. But Tuscaloosa, because of the university, is a little different. Democrats control the city of Tuscaloosa. So I don't know that it was his best pick, depending on what he wants to do. And I agree with you, Brian. I think it's some way to shore up or get back, or maybe he owes Tuberville or Katie Britt or somebody something, and he thinks this is the way to do it.
Will your son have to show up for his speech? Or
No, no. Of course, I bugged him.
Well, hopefully he doesn't, Dave. He could get friggin' arrested.
Well, my granddaughter will go. She can't get in. She would get arrested. She's the radical in the family after me. But and also there's a group of professors who are saying if the university was in any way responsible, if there's any showing of a vote where they did agree to get him, and the facts are just, there's no real reason to appoint him, or to say, not to appoint him, to allow him to come, then they're going to call for the removal of those board members. But the difficult thing is this. And this is what Trump is so friggin' bad at that he's good at. Mm-hmm. There's no good thing. If he calls up Alabama, and he says, I'm coming, there's no good thing. If you say no to him, he will come after you. If you say yes to him, the people who have any sense will come after you. So it's just he's just amazing. He's like a reverse King Midas. Everything that man, I think even if he smelled something, but everything he touches just turns literally to shit.
Right.
You can't find one thing in his past, not one successful business, not one successful personal relationship. I joke about this, but it's true. He has money. He doesn't have the money he claims he has, but he has money. He needs access to money. But he dresses, I would have to say, if you were to do it against, he's worst dressed president we've ever had. Forget about what he wore at the Pope. The man's suits don't fit. His tie is halfway down to his dick.
And he's fighting to get his hair together with that scalp reduction he had in the 70s, or 80s. He can't.
It's just
he can't
now,
move the hair around enough.
If you go back and look at Elon Musk has had a lot of hair surgery and things like that.
Well, but of course, Trump had the earlier version, and that was nasty shit. You know what I mean? To literally
but
just cut a strip out and push things together.
I keep coming back to this point, Kevin, for people who, like yourself, who aren't a U.S. citizen and are just looking in astonishment or amazement or horror or whatever, the feelings are from Canada. And they should be all of them.
Oh, I can tell you. I can tell you right now the feelings of the Canadian public about
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
And
We despise him. Look at, we have been partners and neighbors for decades, and everything has run good. When Trump got into his first term,
correct.
he started this ball rolling, and I think
Mhm.
that when Biden beat him out, no, I'm just saying in my mind, and I've
Right.
talked to a lot of my Canadian friends, when Biden beat him out in the last election before he got back in last January, he
Right.
had 4 years to sit down and figure out, where did I go wrong in my 4-year term, my first 4-year term, to improve to get back in again. But I'm going to do it differently. I'm really going to come down. This has got nothing to do with the wall in Mexico. And when the Pope, that letter that the Cardinal read yesterday, that it's about the wall that he put in Mexico, to me, it put tears in my eyes when I heard about that. Because the Berlin Wall went down with Ronald Reagan to separate East and West Germany, to not separate people from their own country. So you've got Mexicans who are human beings, the same as they are in the United States. But he wants to put a wall up because he turned around and said, we are the cause. The reason of these tariffs is because Canada, we ship more fentanyl to the United States. Give me a break. Come on,
Listen.
Dave.
You're right. Well, the other thing is, I imagine you ship more poutine to the United States because that's good. But just the mere fact of saying that, you're not the fentanyl capital of the world. Okay, there's no way.
1% of the
I
fentanyl,
realize-
and it's been proven. 1%. We
I
send
agree.
more love. We send more love to the American people than we do
let me-
drugs.
Let me support you in that with just this comparison. All right, so we mentioned earlier in the show that this week America slunk, whatever word you want to use, to more depths involving these children. Well, there were 3, I think 2, 4, and 7 or something like that involved. But so that's what we're doing. And I read today, and I assume it's true, that, well, it's a 2-parter. So part of the funds that we're cutting out is a suicide hotline for LGBT kids. Now, if you know anything about kids, the teenage years are pretty damn tough for most kids. And you throw in the fact, let's say you're not sure where your sexuality is, you have no idea. Bullies, the whole thing. And this hotline was very successful at reducing suicide. I mean, to the point where, kids, I'm going to kill myself, and they're still there the next day because some really diligent and good-hearted volunteer talked them through this crisis. So we're going to eliminate that. But guess what Canada does? You have your own hotline up there, and they're giving a special number for Americans to call in.
Wow, I
Think
didn't know
about that. Think
Oh, yeah.
about that. That,
Yeah,
to
Brian.
me,
Yeah.
no, and the other thing is, we always have had this little idea of kind of, okay, we are a racist nation. We were conceived in racism. We still have it. It'll never go away. We just got to keep beating it down and making it smaller, smaller, smaller. But that racism was never directed toward Canada. Why? The majority of Canadians are white.
Right.
Okay. So, and you speak English, even though you say oat, we can basically
Oot.
communicate. So,
What
but
the hell was that? What's oat?
oot,
Oot, out, out.
oot, how you say out?
Well, the French would say oot, I guess, but Kevin says out.
Yeah,
So they
it's
go-
out. Get the fuck out.
There you
Out.
are.
Okay.
Tell Trevor when he comes. Now, did just anybody listen to the show? Just stop for a minute. Just wherever you are, just stop for a minute and think. Donald Trump, right now, would not be welcome and should not be in Canada. He would not be welcome, nor should he be in Greenland. He would not be welcome, nor should he be in Denmark. Did you notice that the president of France walked right by him and refused
Right,
to
did not
shake his hand?
Right.
Did not shake hands.
Macron. Yep.
Britain previously and will rise to the occasion again, took to the streets to demand that he not come to London.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he would be welcomed in North Korea and in Russia. And that's about it. Hungary.
And by the way, Trump made the United States one of only 7 nations to recognize Crimea as being part of Russia.
Well,
And that included North Korea, and who else was that? Belarus.
yeah. Well, and Michael Cohen, who was, Trump's fixer, his legal fixer for a long time, and then switched sides, and we can talk about that all night. But whatever he's doing right now is much better than what he did before,
Right,
for
right.
America. 'Cause
If the rest of them would have done what he did, we would be in a lot better shape.
And he said in his column this week that Donald Trump does not have it within him to follow any agreement, even the ones he makes.
Right.
It's just
Like he did with
not
Canada
in
and
his-
Mexico.
It's not in his nature. So he will take credit for other things. I mean, he's astoundingly unbelievable. Now, I don't see Judy's name tonight. I know she's here. Judy Washington's one of our good people.
She's here. Judy is here. In fact,
Yeah. And I can't imagine, what she would be going through right now. Hey, Judy. I can imagine. I shouldn't say I can't imagine, but I can't feel it because I'm not African American. But do you realize that they've started removing artifacts
From the Smithsonian.
from the Smithsonian African American Museum of History and Culture? Now, a couple things about that museum if you're not familiar with it. It is the newest of the Smithsonian's. A lot of people don't understand this. They go to the National Mall and they see, but there are 17 Smithsonian museums in Washington, D.C., and 2 in New York. So a lot of people don't because they don't see them, but they're there. Kevin, when that first opened, it was so popular that you had to reserve and get a ticket long in advance of when you could go, right? And it continues today to do that. Now, there are a couple that have joined it after the pandemic because they realized they could keep the crowds down a little bit. But so what I'm saying is that, hands down, is the most popular Smithsonian there's ever been, ever. Trump now is going to figure out, and take I've been in that museum. I've been in that museum 15 times, maybe more. It is beyond a requirement that every American should see. It is.
Dave, we went through the same thing here in Kingston. Sir John A.
Okay.
Macdonald was our first Prime Minister of Canada in this city. His house is in Kingston, right here, where he was brought up. And they took a statue down because they said his family had slaves.
Well, see, what my problem with that is, and maybe this is because I'm an educator, I suppose maybe I was destined to be an educator, or born to be one, with the way my family was. But the idea of this is, you first of all, taking something down or hiding it or lying about it doesn't change the facts. The facts are the facts. And the fact is that America, when it comes to racial relations, has left horror and at best something way not close to what it should be. And that's the black experience in America. Okay. You can't change that. But what you can do is do 2 things. You can make people aware of it, own it, be aware of it, and say, when you say, that blacks are this or blacks are that, understand what they had to do and go through to get there. Here's just one thing, Kev, for you. During slavery, which lasted until 1863, it was a death sentence if you were found reading as a slave. you were put to death, if that's the case. So you have this long history of, of not denied entry. And again, back to Canada, Kevin, if I could for a moment here. This someday Trump should wake up and say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Canada's okay because the Canadians are white. He will never say that.
No.
About Hispanics. He will never say that about people in Puerto Rico who are Americans, Guam. So what'll be interesting, and Brian, maybe your thoughts on this would come in. At what point does the MAGA hatred, and it is hatred, at what point do they move away from Trump? What does he have to do? And I'm not going to buy they're all going to stay. I think it comes down to when they are economically inconvenienced enough and get through Trump's bullshit that it's him causing it, not sleepy Joe Biden, not anybody else other than Donald Trump.
I think you've answered your own question, and I think you're right. It certainly has to get worse. It's kind of like a lot of environmentalist activists will say. You remember Antonio Reed?
Right.
They were in the opinion that you just got to let this thing just kind of fall over and fall out and go off the cliff before anything will be done. And I think in general, that's I mean, I would like to perhaps make an analogy. Somebody could talk about healthcare is not that important. Why do I have to pay for somebody else? But when they get the diagnosis, that's when they raise their hand. They say, "Oh shit, I get it," because it's something for because they're selfish as it is. There's a certain selfishness to the MAGA population. The very fact, as you say, that they hate. And by the way, I want to give you credit. I mean, and for those of you who don't know what Dave does on Facebook with Divide We Stand, and on his own personal page, and he did this on his own personal page. I'm going to say this, Dave. Dave has always amped it up when necessary, and I know he's had it with the MAGA crowd, and he said not only fuck Donald Trump, but if you voted for him, fuck you too. Because at some point you have to build a wall up to somebody and say, no, there's no reason for me to be nice to you anymore.
Well, and I do, I do feel that way, and I don't split hairs. I don't think, but I do. Okay, for example, a couple of my really good friends, liberals, have said, please, you have some Trumpers on your page. Get rid of them. And I said, no. My numbers were such that in the last Trump administration, 64 Trump supporters pulled off my page. Very happy. I'm sorry, 62. I'm wrong. 62. And I threw three off. So 61, 3. And the reason that I don't is I liked what Oscar Wilde said. He said, I may not agree with you, but I will fight to the death for you to appear stupid. And that's what I think. I think that's what really happens with MAGA. I mean, and that's part of it. The other thing is I like to know how they're thinking. Now, we can all sit here and say they don't think. They do think, okay? Not well. But I think, and I think again, too, this is probably the third reason that I keep them on there. For the most part, I am a First Amendment absolutist. Except for the causes that are already there. You can't promote violence. You can't promote killing. But pretty much, because the problem is if you censor somebody, when they get in control, they can censor you.
Dave, do you want to
now
let's
look.
I think
I am. Let me see, Judy. Hold it up there, Brian. Okay. Do you think that U.S. historians will bury the facts about MAGA to whitewash history? No, I don't, Judy. And here's why. Trump will try. But remember, unless MAGA is the 100-year future of America, then yeah, right?
you get buried with the facts, right?
Just listen, and Judy, I think about this. We all know in America, you should know about the issue of race. If you're black, of course you know it. Let me just share something that my kids taught me. Now think about this. Never really crossed my mind. One day they said, Mr. Price, we're going to teach you something. I said, what? I always liked when they did that. They said, we're going to teach you about the click. Now, at the time, wrestling was big. It still is. And there was a click. I thought they were going to teach me about this wrestling click, right? Because that was a thing. Then on the other, what happens is, no, they said the click. It said, if we're sitting in a car in downtown Bridgeton or any New Jersey or anywhere, and we're walking maybe a group of 3 or 4 of us down the street, right? I said sitting in the car. I mean, if they're coming by a car, I did that wrong. We hear this click. And what's the click? It's the doors locking.
Right.
Because there are black kids outside. Now, when you grow up with that, the other thing is the other day, a group of us were talking about it and saying our first experiences with racism. So I hate to say share. I'll tell you mine tonight. So when I was, I guess, 8, Brian will know where this is, Kev, you won't. Salem, New Jersey. My father had a cleaning plant. My father had a cleaning plant there. And my mother, who was a school teacher, would work there on Saturdays and summers. So I spent a hell of a lot of time there. I was the only white kid in the neighborhood where we were. So I just grew up, and never really thought about it. So I think I was 8. I did something for my dad, and he gave me money. And my best friend at the time was named Spanjo. So I said, Spanjo, let's go get something to eat. Yeah, okay, right. So we went to this restaurant. This is 1960. Either 59 or 60, in the north, and we sat down at the restaurant. Nobody came to the table. 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 And Spanjo knew what was going on. He says, let's leave. I said, well, why? He said, just come on. So I went back, and it really bothered me. I mean, I didn't know why.
Right.
And so my mom actually stopped what she was doing and said, let's sit down and let's talk. And so she explained to me that restaurant did not serve black people. And something in that moment clicked in my mind. It wasn't like, oh, that's wrong. I mean, it was. But I'm thinking, that's stupid. They lost $8 or not that, I mean, $4 then, right?
Right.
But they lost money. You're going to lose money over that? And then later on, I saw it was even more stupid. But that, Kevin, I get the impression that, there's a little bit of anti-French feeling in Canada, or maybe a little bit against the Native Americans, but nothing exists in Canada like race here in America.
We do have racism here in this country.
Oh,
Don't think that just because the United States, because of the old days of
right.
the KKK and stuff like that, where they're stringing up black people all the time. No, we have it here too, because we per capita in the world, in this country, in Canada, we have more immigrants in this country right now. Not like when when Brian came to play hockey here when we were 15, 16 years old,
right.
Brian never seen basically immigrants here. If he seen what happened today, like to today,
right.
Like
April
much 27th to what we have in this small city of 160,000 people, we were only 105,000 people 3 years ago, and now we're at 160,000. We have a lot of immigrants here. We used to have. It's like here. It's a whole different agriculture, like it was, like I'm saying, 25, 30 years
right.
ago, compared to what Toronto's going through. Like Toronto's like one of the major cities in Canada. The same with Ottawa. It's the same in Ottawa. I talk to my friends online all the time, and they said they're getting overrun. We're getting overrun. Toronto's getting overrun. But where do you put a point on stopping?
Well, that brings me on the last point that we got a few minutes to get in. I wanted to get in tonight. Just thinking about it. Now, Brian, I don't know if you were following this week or not, but there's a big push coming out of the Trump administration for women to have more children.
They're doing the Putin thing for $5,000.
Right, exactly. So here's what we have that we know. Elon Musk still has an influence. It's waning, and I think it's waning for a number of reasons, not the least of which is Tesla. What Tesla stocks are down 71% in Europe, something like that. So he's got to go mind his own store. But he believes, talk about eugenics, he believes it's the duty of intelligent people, which he believes he is, to have as many children as possible. And at this point, he has, to our knowledge, 14.
Right, and what children do they want too? I mean, will they bar people on welfare for getting the $5,000?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's so we know that Elon Musk's hand is in that. Now, this is where the stupidity and ignorance comes in. They're going to give. They picked a number. If you have a child, they're going to give you $5,000. Now, how long is five?
Right.
I don't even, $5,000 might not get you through 4 months of child care. You know, it might not.
Right.
They don't do realistic numbers. Now, we do have a way to, which we are underpopulated right now. We do have a way. It's called immigration. So, on one hand, you're turning away and creating a real problem for America by not having these people. I love that. These people. Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute because I mean, I know the answer, but you do too. But I would say that the Bridgeton area, not Bridgeton City itself, but the area around, is Trump country. Would you agree?
Yes.
And it's farm country. Would you agree?
Yes. And on those farms, you will see Trump signs too.
Right.
And that's absolute fact.
Do you think any of the sons of those farmers are going to work on the farm?
None. I mean,
if they can manage it, right, Kev? So see what happens here is
you go back to Cherry Hill, Brian.
What?
Go back
yeah,
to Cherry Hill.
Yeah.
No, but what happens is, I mean, it's beyond good guys, bad guys. It's just like if we let them, and it isn't us versus them. Don't let there's no kumbaya here. There's no way we have to beat them, whatever that means and however it's done, so we can get control. It's the fact that if they have their way, they're going to destroy the country 6 different ways, maybe. You know, I mean, they're going to destroy it economically. They're certainly going to.
Yeah, we've only done what
morally.
date? It's 100 days. What's going to happen after 2 months? 2 years. You know.
Well, here's the thing. What we know is this. Tonight, this is all I really know. Donald Trump is not going to change. He is incapable of getting better. He can only get worse. That we know. Now,
but he will back down on certain things.
That's what I'm saying. But when he goes down, his numbers are going to go down with him.
Yes.
There's no way that he has the wherewithal to raise his numbers are the highest, unless there is one exception, if we went to war. But, you know, we're going to hold that over the other side. But so when you say what will happen, there is and we all say it here in Washington, say it all over the country, if there's an election in 2026, if there's an election in 2028, if there is, Gary, I assume you were saying, yes, small farms, the kids might work on it. They don't do the work that migrants did in our time, Gary, or now. They don't do the hard labor.
Yeah, I don't think, when it's, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in July, I don't think they're going to be doing it.
No,
Did I read something that was online the other day that said that they already got Trump 2028 hats out now for him to get back in?
Thank you.
Is that not against the Constitution of the United States that a president does 2 terms and not a third?
Here's what it is. You're absolutely right. It is specific, but you have a problem. Donald Trump does not recognize the Constitution. He doesn't. He doesn't think he thinks he's governed by whatever he wants to do.
And the Supreme Court has given him immunity for certain things.
And yes, and they may want to get that back. So
muck things up.
But Kevin, here's what happens. So it's been kind of a joke. But see, the thing that if you notice follow Trump, he jokes and jokes and jokes and all of a sudden it becomes reality. All right. So. Oh, Vance received. Yeah, Gary, you're right about that. So what happens is
talk to me about JD Vance because I don't like this guy. I would punch him in the face if I seen him in my first day in Canada. I would.
Well, He's not coming up there, but if he did, you
Oh,
have
you
our
will never
Yeah,
do
you
that.
have our blessings.
Oh no,
you
no,
have our
no,
blessing.
no.
No, but back to the 2028. So it's been a joke, right? But you've seen. I mean, I've seen it. People have been putting on there. It's one of the retorts, Kevin. They use. Oh, you think it's bad now? Wait till 2032. You know, like he's going to be there forever. This is his people saying this. The MAGAs. Well, Trump or somebody close to Trump said, let's make some money off of this. So yes, that hats have debuted. You can buy them. And would you like to guess how much that baseball hat is as we sit here tonight?
Oh, it's worth a lot of money come Tuesday night and we knock out Ottawa.
That hat is $50, and they're selling them now. What'll happen is it'll be knocked off. You can't. I mean, already out in the streets. One of the great things about living in D.C. is you get the street vendors. I mean, they come out with shit overnight.
Right.
So they're out there for less of that. But the actual Donald Trump. Now, one last thing, but that's paltry. His son, God, could you imagine being Trump's son? Don Jr. is opening a nightclub. Did you see that, Brian?
That I did
Washington,
not see.
D.C. Okay, it's not going to really be a nightclub. It's going to be something like Donald Trump would say has never been seen before. It's just beautiful, beautiful. Right. To get in, it'll be members only, and it is $500,000
Oh God.
to get in.
Oh, so
And-
that's like his immigration gold cards. If you want to come into the
Exactly.
country,
Exactly.
$5 million. Are you
Exactly.
nuts?
We got to remember
Who's
the
going?
only thing that-
Paris Hilton or something? I mean, that's about it.
You want to know something? There's already guaranteed. There's already a waiting list, and here's why. He has promised that regular attendees will be cabinet members, and
They don't have to pay, of course.
no, they pay. They'll pay.
So that's
The
where the
oligarch.
tariffs are going.
Because where they'll pay,
To the
they'll have somebody
nightclub.
pay for. They'll have somebody pay it for him. You know, I mean, or for
Right.
them. Now, and then it gets to the point where it's just so ridiculous.
I thought you were going to say
biggest-
$500, not 500,000. But
No, that, and I don't know. That's the one thing. I don't know if that's a one-time buy-in or a yearly buy-in. I don't know that. That I haven't found out yet. Now we've got our cosplaying, dog-killing Kristi Noem, former governor, who knows it. So she goes out. Now, I had to laugh. She went out and she got her pocketbook stolen. Okay,
You need that
which could
time,
happen.
Brian, because we're running out here.
No, Brian can stay. He messed up the show earlier. So what?
I
what-
accounted
what-
for those 10 minutes.
No, I don't care about you. Anyway,
I get a 10-minute misconduct penalty. 10 minutes on. This
oh, you guys
show.
and your stupid
That
ass.
wouldn't be your
hobby.
first.
So anyway, what
Not my
happens?
first.
Christy, I know where she
remember.
goes. I've eaten there. It's a place called Capital Burgers. Now, again, Kristi Noem can do whatever she wants, but there's some strange things going. Capital Burgers is a very higher class Five Guys. She was there on Easter, I believe. She was with her family. Why would you go? Maybe they had kids and they wanted a burger. I don't know, whatever. And somebody steals her pocketbook, right?
Right.
With Secret Service agents there. Now, again, we can all lose things. I mean, I'm not picking on her yet. But when she reports what was in there were two things that maybe she should have been a little bit more careful about. One was her official government badge, and the other was $3,000 in cash. Now, Kevin,
The badge is
do you-
more important than the cash.
yes, but do you carry? Have you ever carried $3,000 in cash when you weren't going to do something with it immediately? I never have. Just walking around money. No. So here's where it gets so involved, and where the story gets so icky. She is currently involved in an affair with another member of the Trump team, who Trump put in to work with her so they could be together. And the speculative story down here is she had that cash because they were going to get together and didn't want charge card records. Now, is that true or not? I don't know.
But it does make
But-
sense.
You begin. So there's not. Show me a good person that is in the first, second, or third tier of Trump, and there's not one.
There's nothing there.
Not one. Nothing there.
Well, didn't the education minister for the United States, the one that was cutting all the programs,
Linda
did she not
McMahon.
just get charged
Linda
with like,
By
a
the
sexual
way,
assault?
yeah, well, there's a lot there. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys. Guess who's meeting with Linda McMahon on Tuesday?
Yeah, that was her name, Linda McMahon. Yeah.
Do you know
Sergeant
Brian?
Slaughter.
Nope, Dave Price.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, you
I
get
got
to
it.
meet
What's
with
the
the
occasion?
sexual assault or the sexual predator. Yeah, good for you.
No, what she's doing, she is speaking.
If she
at-
touches you, Dave, charge her.
No, I want to ask her. I want to ask her about Roddy Piper and all the wrestlers I grew up with. But I already have my question, and it's not. I mean, it's not a loaded question. I wouldn't ask her a loaded question. I just want to ask Mrs. McMahon. You were an integral part of the WWE World Wrestling. In what way did wrestling prepare you to be the head of all educational programs in the United States?
She'll have an answer.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. But see, Brian, that's what you're saying. You got to let them take the answers because their answers never make sense.
Right. I mean, there's no real gotcha question because everything they say, like you say, is going to be.
Well, yeah, but it's not a
absurd.
gotcha. It's just keep them on the record, keep them
Right.
on the record,
Make them sweat.
and ask, and then follow up with a question based on her answer. You remember your body slam, right, Dave? Oh,
Yeah, and it's got to.
but Bella, let me tell you something about that.
Vince's daughter, because Vince was no little guaranteed Cupid himself. So
Well, here's the thing with Bella's question. Yes, the problem is it was usually young ladies when I was a teenager body slamming me as I did what they considered to be a move that they felt was inappropriate. So yes, it wasn't usually me body slamming; it was them body slamming me.
All right.
All right, Brian,
Listen,
tell everybody what you're going to do this week. Are you going to actually go to work?
Well, why wouldn't I?
I don't know. Just asking.
I'm going to
mean,
work. I'm going to
will you
work
be
in
able to-
around what? 10 hours. I should be at work.
You weren't able to get the computer system working tonight.
Oh, that's right.
So what makes
That is, I can't get my plans together, but that does never stop you or me to teach, right?
No.
No, that's the truth. David Price and I, we were very similar in our teaching methods, and
That is true.
we did not depend on notes. We were complete improvisers. I mean, we had a structure. We knew, and we had an outline of what we were doing, but we did not teach in any traditional manner.
And
But
one
there was
thing-
a lot going on.
And Kevin, you're welcome every time and any time on this show.
well, that's what I was going to
I
ask.
thi-
I was going to say if Brian wanted to come on tomorrow night, if he was going to be around about 8:00 for maybe an hour after the election or close
Yeah, let's
to
do
the
that.
election. the Canadian
Try
election.
if I can, but I got to see what I have for my school. The school comes first.
Oh, wait a minute.
School comes
Wait a minute.
first.
Let me get this right. You've been teaching for how many years?
Since 1984, October of 84.
Okay, so since October of 84,
41
And-
years.
41 years. And you're going to need to do something tomorrow night that will make you a better teacher on Tuesday with your 41 years of experience. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes. Well, don't forget, I exercise at night.
Oh, my God.
I have to do certain things. Look, there's a lot
have
of things
no-
I have to go
you
through. I
have-
get
you
tired.
have-
Oh, listen to the retired man telling me what I
You
got
have-
to do.
Dave, I can tell you this. I have talked to him just one-on-one live chat on nights when he's on his treadmill talking to me and Ronnie's
Right,
coming
right.
downstairs to say,
All right,
shut
well,
the hell
Brian-
up, you're getting too loud.
I am.
Why can't you do the show from your treadmill then?
I
Why not?
could do that.
do
I
both?
could do that. Well, no, I
You could
can't
do that.
because I wouldn't have Ecamm in front of me, so I can't do it.
You don't have a,
We'll
you don't
do-
have a
we'll
computer?
do it.
All right,
Let's
well,
do
we'll
that.
figure something out. We'll figure
We'll do
something
it Wednesday, Brian, when the election.
Wait, we're going. We'll go right into tomorrow night tonight. So, I don't
Well,
know.
you know what? You know what? Let me say this about
I think that's a good place to end the show tonight, right there. All right. Good night, everybody, and go Leafs.
that.
Yes, go.